It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
All right, dumb football questions incoming here.
Love it.
O-Line Committee.
Got some more breaking news.
Is this the Diggs thing?
No. Deontay Johnson traded to the Ravens.
Oh, really?
Yep. Deontay Johnson traded to the Ravens. Just popped up. As you were putting the intro in, I got the alert on my phone.
So we got Deontay Johnson, Ravens. We got Stefon Diggs out for the season,
ACL.
Torn ACL.
Yep.
Dude,
That's
the
a
news
huge
is
loss.
flying in.
That was, especially because
I'm still digesting Joe
Flacco starting.
taking over for Anthony Richardson.
Hey, we called it. We called it, dude. We knew
Before
what
it
that team was
happened.
going to do.
We called it before it happened.
We knew that team was going
We
to
know
bench his
ball.
lazy ass.
We know ball.
The minute
So-
Irsay found out he was tired, he was like, "Fuck out of here." Andrew Luck never tapped out.
Oh, you're tired? Oh, now you can now you
Andrew
pull
Luck
landscaping duties,
Yeah.
huh?
Your back's tired.
Oh.
Now your back's going to hurt.
Now your hands are going to
Chart
hurt.
that game. You chart that game now.
So, okay, dumb football questions. We'll get to a few from the YouTube comment section. If you're new here, welcome to the O-Line Committee. Give us, on the audio side, Apple and Spotify, a 5-star rating and a positive review, if you could be so kind, to help us keep growing this podcast. And then click that subscribe button and the like button on the YouTube channel. So, a dumb football question, at least one from me here to start with for you guys. How would you go about fixing the Cowboys? And I want to read you a quote here, or a paragraph from Pro Football Talk that I think is a perfect summation of the train wreck that is this organization right now, okay? After Sunday night's loss to the 49ers, Cowboys cornerback Stefon Diggs confronted Mike Leslie, a TV reporter from WFAA TV, in the hallway. Full
great.
pads, by the way. He's
He was pissed.
runs out of the locker room. He confronts this TV reporter regarding a second quarter tweet that questioned Diggs' effort on a long catch and run by San Francisco tight end George Kittle. So we've got, there's one more sentence that also helps encapsulate, but we've
go
got,
ahead.
so Niners defense giving up long play, ding. Cowboys
Kittle.
cornerback running out of the locker room, more worried about confronting a reporter than looking inward, ding. And then on Monday, Diggs addressed the situation on teammate Micah Parsons' podcast. More interested in growing personal brands on a Monday than looking inward and fixing your football team.
Yeah, and
That is the perfect Cowboys paragraph right there.
My number one
100%.
question. How did you know about the tweet in the second quarter?
I was just going to say that. Listen,
That
this is
for
no.
When he said that, I was like, wait, hold on. Were you looking at your phone at halftime?
Thank you.
Did you
you.
pull your phone up at halftime and Twitter search yourself and see
Dude.
what people were saying about
Jay.
you at halftime? That's the only logical explanation, that you would know and have that information ready, available to go after that person. That is unacceptable.
Don't lie about this. Tell me
Unacceptable.
how many guys you've seen go on their phone at halftime and
Zero.
don't lie.
I have
Zero?
seen zero. I have seen zero people go on their phone at halftime.
Unfortunately, I've seen hundreds. And
Really?
I was constantly like, what the fuck are we looking up? And they'd be like, dude, gotta look at Twitter, gotta see what they're saying. And you're like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, dude. Like, I was blown away.
I know a lot of guys
minute he came
immediately
out-
after the game, like immediately, like full pads up, like, "Oh shit, man! What
Yeah,
did
no,
they say about me?"
no, that was fucking so stupid, so stupid. And you would be constantly like trying to go over updates and talk about things, and they'd be like, "Listen, we're gonna fucking do something." Guys would be like, "Can you believe this guy said this about me?" By the way, did you see his effort on that play? Looked like he was like jogging down the play and like put a hand on Kittle. Like, I'll do my best, dude. I mean, we talked about it weeks ago. That dude's never going to tackle anybody. So what is he so concerned about when someone's like, what the fuck are you doing on this play? That's the whole point, Mackey. This team is so worried about what everyone's saying about him. They're not worried about what they're doing on the field. And the Mike McCarthy, Mike Zimmer thing, it ain't working anymore. Like, that defense got trounced, dude. They got fucking ran through by Kittle, by Isaac Guerrero. Like, Ricky Pearsall was fucking going crazy. Everybody. And they kept, dude, at one point, Troy Aikman's like, oh, I get the game plan here. They go in shotgun. You're just going to blitz. Okay. Like, that was the whole game plan. We're in gun. You're going to blitz me when I have all these players out here that know exactly where the open spots are. Like, just not working out. And at the same time, I've said this from the beginning, and I don't know why it just hit your brain this weekend, but the Dak Prescott thing is not working for me anymore. I'm sorry. And you paid him, so you're going to have to work it out. Absolutely. I would totally agree.
If only someone on the show was trying to beg the Cowboys not to do a
Kirk
Cousins contract.
Don't do that. I told him, don't do it.
No?
You're going to handcuff yourself and this team. And at the same time, it's like, where's the run game been? Where is that to lean on? Like,
Dude,
it's
Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook, baby.
Dude, at
What
one
are
point,
they doing?
That's
Dude,
your best chance.
At one point, Johnny looks at me and goes, when did Zeke go back on the team? I was like, oh, bro, it's been a minute.
Wait till you get a load of Dalvin coming in.
Yeah, right?
next
Dude,
year,
he couldn't believe it. He was like, he's back? I thought he retired. I was like, he should have. He should have walked away.
So
But
you've got 82-year-old senile owner, egotistical owner
need
and
any
general
moves.
manager
We're good.
he's going on local radio stations threatening to get the host fired. You've got, like you said, Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook are the two main running backs right now when they ignored Derrick Henry in free agency back in March, right?
We didn't think we needed him.
You're paying the 13th best quarterback $60 million, and your defense is a disaster. I mean, where do you even start to unpack this?
By the
if
way,
you're-
Dak is the number one paid quarterback in
Yes.
the NFL right now. If you didn't know that, I'm just going to throw
Number
that out there.
one.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Purdy will be up there soon. But anyways, I think first of all, I love, and I think it's the laziest comeback of all time when NFL players throw back into reporters' faces like, you couldn't do what I do. Well, no shit, dude. Like, no, obviously that dude is not physically as gifted as you to go out and be the 0.001% of the entire world population.
Although I could
do
get
what you
stiff-armed by
do.
George Kittle and
Yeah,
cast
I
aside.
could not tackle. I could not tackle.
I could
George
technically do that.
but I think it's such a lazy attack
It
when you
is.
go after someone with the "you couldn't do what I do, so you don't get to speak on it." It's like that's not how this works. You
I think
get
it's a
paid
little bit
an
dude.
absorbent amount of money to go do what you do. These people have jobs; it's their job too. Do you have to agree with it? No, but you don't get to throw it back in their face
No.
and be like, because you can't do it, you don't get to speak on it. I think it's such a lazy attack.
I find it more ignorant. Like I really do think that that's you couldn't come out here and do this. It's like, well, you couldn't perform brain surgery, you fucking idiot. Like we couldn't all do a lot of things. Doesn't mean we just throw it in each other's faces.
You can't make a YouTube
By the
thumbnail,
way,
okay?
hit him with an ultra sensitive, because not only did he walk away, but he walked away with the D's nuts, and I was like, dude, that is such something my 12-year-old would have said. That's the best you could do. Did you hear him walk away? He was like, yeah, do it with D's nuts. I was like, oh god, that was
Okay,
so
buddy.
2009. You're a fucking loser.
I mean, this is a good transition into the next member of the family. It's been a rough week for the Diggs here, but are the Houston Texans at all screwed or diminished by Stefon Diggs officially
Yes.
having a torn ACL?
Oh yeah.
I mean, getting Nico Collins back, I believe, after next week.
I was gonna say 2 weeks.
Or 2 weeks, that's really going to help, and without Diggs last year, they were just fine with Nico and Tank Dell. So I really don't think this is going to be the big body blow. Right now, it feels like the huge body blow to Houston because they don't have Nico Collins. But when you get Nico Collins back, Tank Dell's finally starting to look more like himself. And understandably, dude tore his ACL in November of last year, I believe it was, late into the season. It takes a while to get back to true form after that injury. That's a major injury. And yes, you can recover and you can be back in 6 to 8 months, but that doesn't mean that you're back at what you were before you got hurt. And Booney's been hurt. I've been hurt. So much of being hurt is the mental block of trusting your body again. Trusting your body to, I can run full speed and make those cuts and sit on that bull rush and not have this voice in the back of my head like, oh, that really hurts, or am I going to tear it again, or any of that. It's just a trust factor. So Tank Dell coming back, looking back to his form, getting Nico Collins back, continuing to run the ball with Joe Mixon. I don't think this is going to be a huge of a blow down the stretch for the Houston Texans, as big as it feels right now, just because you're missing Nico Collins.
Do you want to know how you dull that voice in the back of your head? Take some Percocets.
Some pills.
You want that voice to go away? You just take another one of them little pillies, buddy, and that thing just starting to shut up.
Shut up.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not.
Not at all
We
whatsoever.
had so much fun. Listen,
Not kidding.
do I think losing Stefon Diggs is a big deal? Of course I do. But here's a bigger deal for me. This offensive line. Letting him just get battered and pressured around, and this isn't the first week that this has been happening. This is one of the things where I'm looking around and I'm like, listen, this offense was really strutting their shit last year. And now at times it feels like they can barely get a win against the fucking Colts, whose quarterback just took a breather. That's why I'm looking at this going, I'm a little more concerned than most people because, yeah, had this been last year and maybe they add Diggs in halfway through the season, then he gets hurt. It's like, nah, man, they had their thing. But it's like, this is what they've been all year. They've been struggling to get by, and they've been having troubles, whether it be penalties, whether it be sacks and pressure, whatever it is. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, you lost another really important piece to your offense. Like, that could hurt us. That could really hurt us.
But, I mean, Nico was the number one receiver in the NFL before he got hurt.
I agree.
Really, the struggles with Houston, in my opinion, started when Nico went out. Like, that's when really things started looking sputtery on offense because he was borderline unguardable to start half of the season. He's running by dudes. His routes are crisp. I mean, he was wide receiver 1 by a long shot. So you get Nico back, and he's healthy. Not like an 80%er, but, I mean, that's why they put him on IR, let him get healthy. I think they'll be just fine. I really do. And I understand the struggles with the offensive line, but Diggs is not the Diggs that he was 2.5, 3 years ago.
Agreed.
Father
Completely
time
agree.
comes for us all. That's not a slight at Diggs. That's not a slight at him as a player. That's just a fact of age catches up with you in the NFL. And so he wasn't what him and Josh Allen were in 2021 or 2022 or whenever he showed up to Buffalo that first year where those two were just one of the most dynamic duos in the NFL. That's why I'm not as really concerned. And you flip it on the other side. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, those dudes are just getting after the quarterback in a ridiculous fashion. Those two, that tandem right now, you can put them up there with some of the best dual pass rushers in the entire NFL. I think the Texans still win the South. I think they still make a deep playoff run. I'm not. This doesn't really concern me for their long-term effects without having Diggs, as long as Nico can come back healthy.
Put me down as a slight concern. On my meter of concern, Jay's
I'll
like
put you down
here.
here.
I'm like right here. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. But I'm not going to go, dude, you're going to win the AFC South. That was a struggle. That was a real struggle, considering that Anthony Richardson's taking a water break. The Jags can barely beat the Green Bay Packers. Dude, nothing's really going to stop you in winning the South. The question's going to become, as you look into the season deeper, can they continue to win games and not create penalties and not create pressure on your quarterback? Because and once you get in the playoffs, dude, those defenses are humming for you. You're going to end up playing fucking Kansas City, and it's going to be like, never mind. You're going to need Diggsy out here with you to create one more mismatch out here. That's where these questions go for me. We're almost into November. So now I'm already starting to think playoff football because this is the next 2 months where it becomes really serious. What we do in the next 2 months will be what everybody knows about us going into the playoffs. Whether we come out and strike while the iron's hot or whether we come out and barely win. Like, you need this momentum right now. And losing him was probably a big piece for their offense.
Okay, well, I have one more. Got to sneak a Vikings one in here, and then we'll get to the audience. A couple former Vikings offensive linemen. We got a bunch of Vikings fans who listen to O-Line Committee. So I'm going to rifle through and then their schedule quick. So just block it in your mind, and then I'll ask you a question. Home against the Colts on Sunday Night Football, at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Bears, home Cardinals, home Falcons, home Bears, at Seattle, home Packers, at Detroit. Vikings are 5-2. Just lost their left tackle for the season. Oof, how many wins do they finish the regular season with?
I had them going into last week around an 11 or 12 win team. It's weird to say losing your left tackle may lose you 2 games, but I think they're probably closer to a 9 to 10 win team now. I really do. I think 10 is still a very real possibility. And I mean, but there's so many factors that go into this.
Well.
Sam Darnold holds onto the football longer than anyone else in the entire NFL. And he's been able to do that because in the first 7 weeks, Dyershaw and Brian O'Neill have both given up less than 10 pressures.
Yeah.
Dude, they're fucking studs.
Unbelievable.
Studs.
It's going to be, if the Vikings truly feel like they still can make a Super Bowl run, this is where you sign a DJ Humphries. This is where you call a David Bakhtiari. This is where you call someone that you can bring in, and this isn't a slight against Quessenberry. Listen, you're going to go out there and you're going to do your thing, but you're talking about a massive drop-off from the best, right, top 2, if not 3 left tackle in the NFL to a backup. That's a massive drop-off, and it's going to hurt. It's going to feel it. We're going to hurt. The passing game's going to have to speed back up. It's not going to be the Vikings offense we're used to seeing, and all of it because your best player on offense besides Jefferson is out.
Well,
for the year.
Listen, a lot of what they've been doing has been through the play action. Do you continue to do play action? Absolutely. Why? Because you can put tight ends next to him. You can align him with guards where it's like, hey, listen, you only have to worry about the outside. Force this guy back into your guard. There's easy ways to do that. The question becomes, what are you going to do in the pass game, in the real third down, stuff like that? How do you get creative? You're going to have to start chipping. You're going to have to start putting tight ends in. Because you're right. People are going to look at this and be like, hey, this offensive line's been fucking knocking people around. If there's one weakness, it's right here, and we have to go full at it. Because if we can just get a little bit of pressure to start the game, then we can hope and rely on the fact that we're going to slow them down and then let our offense get going. Because that's what they want. They want to get the lead in Minnesota, and then all of a sudden their defense can pin their ears back and they can play their little chess match. Because the problem's going to become, you're going to start to play teams that are going to be keeping up with you, and then it's like, okay, now we're relying on our run defense. Now we're relying on other things that we can't so much schematically come at. Yeah, at times we'll run the Will through the B. We'll run the Sam through the A. Shit like that. That's easy shit. But what they want to do is go third down, spread you out, and then all of a sudden here comes 8 guys walking up. You can't do that in the run game.
Well, here's the question for you, Mac. You're the Vikings expert on this podcast.
What
happened to Brian Flores' defense on Thursday night? Where was the pressure? You're talking about an offensive lineman for the Rams that is decimated. Starting center, they're on their third center. They started a undrafted free agent rookie from USC at left guard. They failed to record a single sack in that game. Not once. The first time this year. They haven't had a sack.
They only pressured on like 4 dropbacks,
they had
too.
They had 4 hits and a few hurries, but I mean,
I can
for
tell
the
you
most
why.
part,
Matt Stafford. He was like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's Cooper Kupp. Oh, and guess who's back? Puka. Don't forget about this guy. Like, dude, they were like, oh, forgot about that.
So do you think it was a little bit of they copied the Lions and what they did? Or do you think it was more Matt Stafford being Matt Stafford?
Yeah, both the Lions and the Rams took advantage of the open middle of the field. I mean, we broke down film of the Lions. It was replace the blitzer, which sounds really easy, right? Just replace the blitzer. But if you look at the Brian Flores defense the last 2 years has been mostly awesome, except for the last month and a half last season. They dipped off. And guess who it was last year? It was 2 games against Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. It was a game against Matt LaFleur and the Packers and Jordan Love. There was one rogue game against Jake Browning and the Bengals that makes you raise an eyebrow.
I remember that.
I remember that.
But last year it was mostly Goff, Lions, Ben Johnson, weapons. And then it was Packers, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love. And this year it was Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp coming back. And then it was the Lions again with Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. So I think the moral here is if you have quick, decisive, accurate veteran quarterbacks that know what they're looking at right away.
Like Joe Flacco?
Dude, that's why I'm worried. That's why I'm worried.
You've gotten very quiet since that got broken. You were really excited.
Dude,
like this is going to get us out of it, but now you're looking at an 0-3.
What the line do?
Spreads are for losers. The line moved 2 points in the Colts' favor after that news broke this afternoon. Because if it was Anthony Richardson versus Brian Flores, the Vikings score 2 defensive touchdowns. The Vikings win 42-10. Yeah, it's a disaster.
Oh yeah, now you're going to be like, do we really want to dice this up? Do we want to go this 8-man at him? Dude, I'm telling you.
The only thing I think about is the receiving core for the last 2 weeks that you guys played not Jameson Williams, PEDs. You have St. Brown, Patrick, you go Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. I mean, Alec Pierce,
Josh Downs,
and
it's not nearly.
Don't forget about Jonathan Taylor.
Well, that's going to be the biggest thing is you have to. If I'm Brian Flores, I'm selling out and saying, okay, Joe Flacco,
shutting the run down. Yep,
beat me.
You're shutting the run down.
Okay, Joe Flacco, beat me. And if you beat me, then so be it. But I'm not letting 28 beat me. I'm not doing it.
Because what's he going to do? He's going to take time with him. He's just going to go tick, 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 and that dude is fucking churning butter right now.
I think,
dude,
overall,
he's awesome.
So how many wins do you have, Max? I said 9 to 10. I think 9 to 10.
I said 10.
And I said on Purple Daily yesterday, I said it feels like 10 or 11. If you go 5-5, and dude, you should beat the Jags, the Titans. Like there's games that they've played the
Jags,
third
dude.
hardest schedule in the league through the first 7 or 8 weeks, and you've come out of it 5-2. If you go 5-5 or 6-4 and get to 10 or 11 wins, and you're crescendoing into the JJ McCarthy era and cap space and free agency, like. This can still be a win going into March in the league year in 2025. But no longer can they be.
Isn't it weird how Darisaw getting hurt and like a loss on a Thursday night game can change the whole trajectory?
Yeah, I don't think it's an overreaction. Darisaw is he's the hardest player to replace on that entire team.
Dude, how many
All
times?
due respect to Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's tough too.
Well, they won a bunch of games
I was
without
going to
Justin
say,
Jefferson
that's the
last
thing
year.
is like when you talk about Darisaw one-on-one and his ability to be like, we don't have to slide to him. We can go take care of other problems, or we can trust him to be out there. Now it's like, well, Quisenberry and who else are going to be out there? Quisenberry and what else are going to give him
Hawk
a chip?
is coming back.
Yep.
Hawk will be back.
Yeah,
That's gonna open up some more stuff. It's gonna be fascinating to watch. It's gonna be really fascinating to see how KOC, if he adapts, how he changes. I think he will. But yeah, the Vikings went from Super Bowl contender to let's make the playoffs without
See what happens.
best left tackle.
Yeah. Okay, dumb football questions from the audience here. You can always hit us up in the YouTube comment section. Snack Mui says, how closely do players watch the game when they aren't playing? Are you focused on your job, talking to teammates and position coaches? Or do you get to be fans of your teammates when you watch the game on the sidelines?
So if you don't dress, you have a responsibility. So the coach will come up to you and be like, I want you to watch this guy today. Or I want you to watch, like at times when I didn't dress, they'd be like, I want you to watch the core. Let us know what you see. And then after every series, they'll break stuff down with the guys and they'll come to you and be like, what'd you see? And you'll tell them a couple things and they'll be like, great. And it just kind of helps add on to stuff. Or at times you can help be the clarifier of like, no, this guy blitzed through this gap and or somebody didn't see him or you guys didn't switch it off. But there's no really like, oh, dude, let's just fucking kick back and chill. Like, we're on the O-line. Somebody's going to be asking you a lot of questions. And then not only that, but if you're not talking to the coach, you're talking to the player who's playing your position. And you're like, hey, listen, this is what I'm seeing. I think you're looking really good doing this. I think you should probably start doing a little bit more of this. Maybe get back in your stance a little bit. Maybe stop going 3-point. Like, you're trying to give him really important details so that he can go out there and think really fast. And it's fun because when I was young and a starter, one of my backups was Leonard Davis. So Leonard was always talking to me, and he was always like, hey, man, I think you should go out and you should just go fuck that guy up. I was like, yeah, sure, it's going to be that easy. I got you, bro. Like, he just said shit so simply. You'd be like,
Yeah.
if I was 375 pounds and that big, I would, but I'm not. So I'm going to do it my way. You got any other advice for me?
Yeah, I mean, you always had a job. Even when I
Always.
dressed, even when I dressed, my first year in Minnesota, when I dressed, it was my job to show Joe Burjo or Pat Effline if it was base or nickel, right? Like, so that was my job on the sideline while Tony's getting the play call and whatever. I would watch the sideline and go, okay, there goes the nose guard. Here comes the nickel. And I put the 5 up for nickel so that Pat knew when he broke the huddle, hey, it's nickel defense.
How
Or,
would
hey,
they know where you're standing on the sideline?
Because the offensive coach,
Stupid
the offensive
question.
line.
Ding.
That's dumb football.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Ding.
So you're always the
We only
O-line.
stand
The
one
O-linemen
place.
always stay as far away from the ball as possible on the
Far
sideline.
away.
So if you're on the
Best
30 on the right side, say you're facing the field and the ball's on the right side, and you're on the 30, the O-lineman and the O-line coach is going to be as far away as possible on the sideline down there so that you can see. And then as soon as the ball crosses 50-yard line, you go to the other side.
Flip.
Like you're constantly, you want to be as far away as you can from those guys so that they know where to find you, right? So yeah, base, nickel, or base and nickel, right? And then dime was obviously dime. And then when they go heavy or goal line, you had your signals. And so that was my job. But I'll say when you're playing, you don't get to watch the defense at all.
No.
Like you'll be deep in, like you'll be on the bench, and
Turnover!
it was always my favorite. You're deep in, and you're on a coach is going through something, and you're so keyed in, you have no idea what's going on, and all of a sudden you hear the crowd roar, and someone yells interception, and everyone, it makes no sense because there's always a TV timeout, but everyone grabs their
Pops
helmet
right
as
up.
fast as they can and just sprints onto the football field, like no one cares what was just said. Right? You have no idea what's going on. You never have a clue what's going on the other side of the ball when you're playing.
So you don't get to like sit there and appreciate and admire and watch,
Not unless you're destroying
Tom
somebody.
Brady.
Because there's always a lot of adjustments. Or if it's the end of the game and you're winning, coach might come over and say a couple things, ask a couple questions, and then you can go away. Then you'll be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah,
out
if you
here?
if you need a defensive stop at the end and you just went down and scored and there's a minute and 30 left and if they score the game's over, usually you're not talking a whole lot. Like you're there kind of being a fan, cheering on, doing what you can, but very, very select times.
The
So-
first 3 quarters, you're getting yelled at or talked to the entire time, or you're playing. You don't know anything. I don't know how many timeouts we have. I don't know what the score is. I just know that I'm not blocking this 3 technique enough, and I'm going to get cussed out again. That's all.
So
I know.
when you guys are between series, you're sitting on the bench, you're catching your breath. What information are you allowed access to? You got the tablets. What's on the tablets? There's
So,
overhead like screenshots.
This is actually
right?
interesting. When I first came in the league, it used to be a book, and you would open the book, and it would have pages on it. And they were black and white, and it was always a snap right before the ball got snapped, and then it was a snapshot 2 seconds after the ball got snapped, so you could kind of see where everybody went. And so they would just flip through this book, and they'd be like, okay. And you'd go through every play, and coach would have it written down. So he'd be like, 97 power. All right, here's power. All right, they gave us an over front. Let's see, what'd they do? All right, looks like he tried to hit it through the A gap. Did we get him? And you'd be like, yeah, I got him. He'd be like, good shit. Or you'd be like, hey, did we get him? You'd be like, didn't get him. What the fuck did we talk about the run through this week?
Who
You'd be like,
prints that?
so the
Used to
guys
be-
on
there
the
used to be a
sidelines.
printer on the sideline that was just
and
working.
It was our
nonstop.
logistics guy that did it. So in Frisco, it was the best because it was the guy that got you your hotel room. It was Steve Rizzer and Michael Slapp, and so they would set up all the logistics for hotel and food and all this, and then you would see him on the sidelines quickly like pulling papers out and stapling them and putting them in the book, and you'd be like, hey, by the way, thanks for giving me the presidential suite last night. Appreciate you. Thanks. I'm gonna take this over to coach. Like you would just be like, everybody has a job on game day. Even if you have an office job during the week, on game day, your job is something. You're holding a cord, you're giving somebody water. Like it's so fun to see people around the office jump in and do stuff like that. But then like later on in my career, we went into like the tablet.
The surfaces.
So then you would see the pictures
The
on
ones
there.
that quarterbacks will
And it
chuck
would-
to the ground in anger, right?
God. The nice thing was those were bigger and they were colorized. So you could see a lot more. They weren't as grainy. They were a lot better pictures.
They were black and white.
Dude, it was terrible. For years, did people like run into each other and you'd be like, who is that? What number is that? Oh, fuck, I can't see it. But then one year they let us watch the play in the preseason. They let us, and it was like, we don't like
sucked.
this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And they'd be like, hey, did we get that mic? Yeah, we got him. Bring me that tablet. Okay, so maybe we didn't get him. Maybe we didn't. And they'd be watching the play and they'd be like, oh, yeah, you got him?
Well,
you get him?
the problem was coaches went into film mode during the game.
It's
right,
hard
like because
doing
during
that,
the
man.
like film mode and game mode are totally different.
Totally different
Totally
guys.
different, right? When you're watching the film and you're in the game is over and you're going through, like the coach is just like, all right, boys, belt to ass, wear it.
Oh, you're kidding
right?
me.
Like it's coming.
You're kidding
But
me.
during the game, and I can remember there'd be times where you'd whiff on a block and you'd be like, God, I hope they snapped the picture before I fell off of that block.
Oh,
right? 'Cause
yeah.
then you get the still picture and you'd be like blocked up with him. You're like, yeah, see, I got him. And you're like, I'll wear that tomorrow. Right? Like,
Tomorrow he'll be
that
cooler.
is future Jeremiah's problem. That is not present Jeremiah's problem. But as soon as it became live tape on the sideline, the coaches went into film mode and they're like, you stupid mother. And you're like, I'm trying, right? And as a player, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't
So wait,
handle
is it live tape now, or is it
No.
images on the?
No,
it's
it's
images.
it's
on the
images
server.
only.
We said no to that quickly. We were like, we don't like this.
We
as
don't
a
like
union.
this.
We don't want, because Jay's right. Like, so basically, people don't know this is Monday through Saturday. Coach is like dad, right? He's gonna belt the ass you. He's gonna fucking give it to you. And it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in the cafeteria. You're just gonna get it. You're gonna wear it, and everyone
You just have
gets
to
it.
walk by Tony's office to go to
Right?
the cafeteria, and you'd
And
like
you'd be
try
like-
and time it. So you'd be like, someone go, and then woof. Because hey, Jeremiah, come in here for a second. Damn it!
It was terrible. But then on game day, they're completely opposite. They're like your best friend. Like the best coaches that I was ever coached by, they would never yell. They'd never get upset. They'd always be like, come on, dude, what do we... They get upset, but let's be honest, like normal people's upset to our upset, like getting Tony upset.
But it was different. It was an upset, but it always rounded with like, all right, boys, come on. Here's what
Right.
we're gonna do.
We're gonna-
get
we're
back
gonna get
out there.
better,
Like,
right.
okay, we got this. Here's what we're getting to. Right. It always ended on a positive. Right. Versus when they're watching the tape and they're looking
it could
at
end
it
horribly.
They're looking at it like,
worthless.
I didn't coach this shit. I don't want to see this shit.
Hey, let's
What are
talk
you
about your
putting on-
footwork. Let's talk about your footwork right here. I'm like, dude, it's second quarter, not time to talk about footwork. Let's talk about this 6-inch step that you didn't fucking take. I couldn't hear the snap. How the fuck? Who accepted this shit? This is dumb. Sorry.
Alan Peterson 6768 says, "How do you treat teammates who work hard, try hard, and are good guys, but they just don't quite have it as players? The guys that everyone knows will be gone as soon as they find someone better."
We love 'em.
We love them to pieces.
We love 'em to death.
And it's usually during training camp.
Yep.
Right. It's usually during training camp, and it's the undrafted free agent. It's the 7th round pick. It's the guy that you're like, man, you do everything right. Like you're a pro's pro, and you've got it. You're just
Naga.
the scouting term that always gets used is you lost at birth.
Yep.
Right? Like you lost at birth.
No,
it's
true.
unfortunate. Like your arms are 30 inches long. Like you have a longer torso than you do lower body. You're all upper body and no ass. Like you can be and that's what makes the NFL so special is yes, the talent, you have to work hard. You have to do all those things. But at the end of the day, I got really blessed, and Alex got really blessed that when God created me, he said, you're going to be 6'7", you're going to have 34.5-inch arms, and you're going to be a big dude. And then I had the work ethic to go with it. So many guys are unbelievably work ethic, unbelievably talented. They just don't have the brute size that it takes to play in the NFL week in and week out. And you love those guys, and you support those guys, and you cheer for those dudes. Like nothing makes you happy. And there's always usually one of the guys that like makes it as a special teamer, and you're just so pumped for that guy, right? Like you did it, man. You're never gonna play on offense or defense, but you made it on special teams, right? Like you're just so juiced for those guys. But everyone supports those guys fullest. Like versus, I would take 10 of those dudes versus the first rounder that doesn't give a shit because you know he's gonna play and he's gonna be out there, and there's no excuse for him not to be successful. Right. You have all the tools. Every tool imaginable, and you just can't put it together between the years. I don't want anything to do with you. Give me the guy that tries really hard, and we'll do our best, and he's probably not going to play, but I'd rather have him on my football team than you.
And I think, honestly, when you see those guys, they're quick to get mentored by a lot of guys, right? Like, everyone puts their arm around them, and they're quick to be like, hey, bud, let's go get some food. Like, you don't ever let those dudes pay for anything. You're constantly like, hey, you want to come hang out with us?
Oh,
like,
how was your $2,500 signing bonus?
Yeah. Dude, believe me. You know what's crazy is my signing bonus was $2,500 too.
Mine was $9,000.
Let's go, dudes.
Been there, done that. Had dudes like Barry Sims take me, Tony Raggy, Staley. All those guys were like, this dude's so broke and living in California. Why don't you come over for dinner? I'd be like, really? They'd be like, yeah, for sure, dude. You look like
I'm shoveling the Gatorades in my backpack.
Yeah. Dude, I would be stealing so much stuff. They'd be like, listen, you don't have to do that. Just come over my house. I'd be like, thank you so much.
I remember like, big Orlando Franklin. He signed a fat deal with the Chargers in 2015. And he'd always be like, boys, my house is your house. Like, you ever need a place to stay? You ever need something to do? Pools in the back? Like, and he'd be like, really? And he'd be like, I have no money. Like, it's fine, dude. There's always food in the fridge, like beer in the thing, whatever you need. My house is your house. Right? And those were the best kind of dudes. Like, those dudes were awesome.
Dude, we used to
That's
have so
awesome,
much fun.
man.
I know. And honestly, the league has not made up enough of those guys. Like, if you could get more dudes to act like that.
I got one more.
Absolutely. Hit me.
From Jay Lee, 5692 YouTube comment section. How and why did Alex get the nickname Rhino?
Oh, this is a great one. So, true story. You're going to have to ding me for a self-suck.
Self-suck. Just do it now.
So when I was young in the 49ers, we went to the zoo a lot with Johnny and my wife, and we would walk around a lot, and it would help me the day after games to kind of walk off all the injuries. So I hated it at the beginning. By the end, I was walking normal. Like, Jay, you know what I'm saying. Like, you wake up in the morning, you're just kind of
I don't want to move.
But by like noon, you're like, I feel great. I had to do it, and I'd work myself through it. So we used to go all the time. So one time they came up to me, the zoo staff, and they were like, excuse me, are you Alex Boone? I was like, yeah, I am. That's my self-suck. And they were like, hey, listen, we'd love to take you around in a cart. And I was like, let's go.
Sign me up.
So I was like, dude, I'm not going to pass this up. So we start going around, and they're like, we'd love to take you in the back and show you some of the animals. So we got to go pet the giraffes, Petiti, meet them. We got to go meet some of the other polar bears. We got to feed them. And we're coming up to this hippo, and they're like, yeah, we named it. I forget
hippo?
The ace pitch. No, it was a hippo at the time. It was named after their ace pitcher. And I forget, it wasn't.
Tim Lincecum?
Lincecum was the monkey. I'm almost positive that
Matt
hippo.
Cain.
It was Matt Cain. Yeah. And so they were.
I think I don't know my San Francisco Giants baseball.
So they were talking about it, and they were mad because they were like, these baseball players, they never come around, they never do anything. I was like, oh man, that's sad. I was like, that'd be sweet to have something named after you. I'd fucking be here all the time. And so like 3 months later, I get a phone call, and it's from the president of the team, and he calls me up to his office, and I'm like, dude, I'm really fucked. Like, I'm going over the business side now. Like, I really fucked up. And so he sits me down, and he was a great dude at the time. We were still very close. Great, great friend. And he was like, hey, the zoo called. They just got a rhino in. They want to name it Alex Boone on its birth certificate. And I go, shut the fuck up. And he was like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, you're lying. And he was like, nah, man, they want to do this. He's like, they want you to donate like 50 grand or something. And I was like,
done.
At the time, I was like, I don't have any money. I was so in my rookie contract that was so bad. I was like, I could probably scrounge together $50K. I'll figure it out. And he was like, don't worry about it. We'll get somebody to pay for that. They're like, we're just excited, man. Got a rhino named after you. And so at first I was like, wait a minute, somebody's going to pay for $50,000 to get me named after a rhino? And he was like, yeah, don't worry about that. Fuck that shit. He was like, how awesome is this? And I was like, are you fucking with me right now? And he was like, no. So we used to go all the time to the zoo, and it's, they call it Rhino Boone. And massive black rhino, dude. Fucking huge. And it's awesome because they have a plaque there that talks about me and the rhino and stuff. It has my picture on it. It's awesome, dude.
Is it still alive?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
How long do rhinos live for? Do we know?
They live pretty long. They can be, and it's great because when they were
we should do an O-line committee field trip to go visit.
You want to go out there and see it?
Rhino Boone. Yeah.
I'll send you pictures of when we used to go see it all the time.
I'm watching the video right now on
Which one?
YouTube of when they announce it. Jill Lynch is talking about it. Young Alex Boone here in front of the mic, got the goatee, talking to the baby rhino. Gosh, you're a loser.
Did you guys meet in the A gap at any point during this?
Well, I thought it was cool because they were like, one interesting trait about a rhino is they're extremely chill animals. They're like, but if you get into their space, they become deathly territorial. And I was like, wow, it sounds a lot like me.
Yeah.
I'm fucking super chill, but if you touch me, I'm quick to be like, did you just fucking touch me? Like, don't fucking touch me. I was like, yeah. And it's cool because I used to buy him toys, and we bought him a big pill. It was like this massive, like, fucking thing made out of pure plastic, and he would pick it up with his horns and throw it. Everything. It's just insane, dude. It's super awesome.
But I had never heard any piece of this story. I just assumed that like you played like a rhino or something.
Wait, you really didn't know that?
Zero clue. I thought he just run blocked like a rhinoceros or something.
So we've actually switched names. They call me Rhino and they call him Boone. So that's why everyone calls me Rhino.
It's amazing, man.
A little history lesson.
So there is a YouTube
Look at this
video.
guy. Look at him.
Hey, listen. I want you to know this.
Wow, you were so heavy.
Go click some other pictures. Let's see some other ones. Dude, I wish I could have the screen right now. I could easily do that.
I'll find it later. It later.
Yeah, no, it's great,
So
dude.
funny.
I love it. Still donate.
Wow, dude. So look at that. That's a great batch of dumb football questions right there. From
Hey, can I pitch?
audience.
Can I pitch my dancing real fast?
Yeah, absolutely. Hit it.
Dude, yes. And let's put it in. We'll put it in the.
Yeah, can we put it in like its own thing? So, on November 9th, my wife and I are doing a Lincoln Dancing with the Stars benefit for Josh the Otter. So Josh the Otter is a foundation and swimming lessons here that is all about helping prevent childhood drowning. Right, it's the number one killer of kids. It's crazy when you really look at the statistics of what actually kills young kids. Drowning is a huge one. So they've been there. All three of my kids go to swim lessons there. They're phenomenal. They're putting on a big gala this November 9th. And the way they do it, instead of just doing like a dinner, they have like 5 or 6 couples from around the area take dancing lessons, then do like a Dancing with the Stars, full on, like judge the whole bit. We have our old costume get-ups and everything. So my wife and I are doing a West Coast swing. It's going to be super fun. It's like 2.5 minutes long. We've been grinding since August on these dance lessons, right? It's crazy. So we're going to put a link in here. Part of the competition is fundraising. So I'm not saying you have to or anything like that, but if you feel so inclined to donate some money to this great foundation, this great cause, it's all going back to the foundation. Would love any help from the O-line committee. And I promise I will take videos and I will bring the videos to the O-line committee of the wife and I dancing.
Sure. Let's go, dude.
I promise I will. But yeah, if anyone feels inclined to do that, would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description here, and then you sent it to me too. I can put it out for sure on my social, on my Twitter.
I'll put it on mine for sure.
Please do. It's going to be a lot of fun. I signed my wife up for this. She was not. This is not her thing, right? Like this is not my wife's thing at all. And I came home, I was like, I did a thing. She's like, oh, did you? I was like, we're going to be dancing.
She's like, oh, well, I'm going to do a thing. It's called the divorce attorney.
Yeah, she's like, can't you find like someone else to do this with? I was like, no.
I'll do it with you.
Super excited about that.
You guys together.
The Rhino.
The Rhino, dude. We're going to do the Rhino. The cha-cha on the Rhino. All right. Dumb football questions. Click that subscribe button. See you next time. O-line committee.